Delicious. Welcome to my channel's lovelies. My name is Ellie Marillo, and today we're gonna talk about my decision to go on a weight loss journey. I typically don't like to discuss this online because it invites a lot of unwarranted, unnecessary, and often wrong opinions about my body, my health, my choices. But as a plus size creator, I think it's important to explain why I made this decision because I don't want my community to feel alienated. And I also don't want my community to think that just because I make this decision, it means that they have to make this decision. This is your life. No one else can live it for you. Other people might not even exist. They may be figments of our imagination. In this video, I'm going to tell you why I made this decision, but I'm also going to share more about my background with my body, with weight loss, and why I ultimately decided to embark on a plus size weight loss journey. So let's get into it. It took me a long time to come to this decision because being on a weight loss journey in and of itself is very triggering for me in so many ways. I spent so many years of my childhood and early adulthood on a diet. I had a horrible relationship with food, and I only worked out if I was trying to lose weight because that is what was taught to me. That is the messaging that I got. It didn't actually matter if I was healthy or not. It only mattered if I was skinny. I know that's not true now, but that is the message that a lot of times we send to younger girls and boys about their bodies. I remember the first moment I realized I didn't have to be on a diet. I was in uni, as the Brits say, they love that word, and we had to take a life fitness class. I chose yoga and Pilates because at the time I was playing rugby and my coach thought it would be a good idea to get some additional stretching and help with flexibility. Part of this class involved talking to a nutritionist. I was honestly nervous to talk with her because I figured she was going to tell me the same thing that everybody tells me. There's nothing more frustrating than going to nutritionists, doctors, trainers, and constantly having your actual concerns ignored and being told things that you don't feel are true about you and your habits and your decisions, and just being offered some sort of blanket explanation for everything. I feel like that is one of the most frustrating things. It's like this dissonance. But we had to go. So I went. We had to do a food diary where we just log what we eat in a week. And when I get there, talk to her, she's looking over the food diary. She closes it and she looks at me and she says, "Do you want to lose weight?" I was shocked. You mean I have a choice? What are you saying right now, ma'am? Because no one in my life had ever given me a choice about losing weight. TV didn't give me a choice. My parents didn't give me a choice. Boys at school didn't give me a choice. Malls, clothes, literally nobody gave me a choice about losing weight or not. It was always this kind of barbaric, savage, if you will, way of you fat must lose weight. That's literally what it sounds like to me. And it echoed in my brain constantly. So when she asked me this question, I was like, you know what? I don't want to lose weight, and I don't think I need to lose weight. Now, that no about not losing weight, because I feel it's yes, oh my gosh, diet culture dropout. Oh yeah, we did it. That's what it felt like. But at that point, I was 20 years old, and I'd been on diets since I was less than 10. So it takes a really long time to undo that type of thinking. That no really wasn't final until the end of 2022, beginning of 2023. Every year, when everybody's setting their New Year's resolutions, I'm not big on New Year's resolutions. I do like to have goals for the year and goals for every quarter, but I like setting a theme for each year. So 2022 was the year of transition. I was in a failing marriage. I was going through a divorce. And as a result, there were just a lot of changes, questions, and confusion in my life at that time. That year, I gained probably 70 pounds. And that put me right at about 420 pounds, which is the largest I have ever been. Now, my divorce was amicable. We're still friends to this day. It just didn't work out between us. So I cannot imagine if it took that much of an emotional toll on me and physical toll. I cannot imagine having to go through it when you're literally at each other's throats. So anybody going through a divorce, I see you. I know what you're going through. And I'm so very sorry that you have to go through it, but I hope that if you're doing it, you will come out stronger and better on the other side. And if you want to hear the full story about how we met, got married, got divorced, let me know in the comments below and I will consider sharing the entire story. Back to my themes. So that was 2022 and it left me with a lot of questions. So I decided that 2023 was going to be the year of Ellie. You know, 2023 is all about me. I really wanted to take that time to get to know myself and I wanted to develop a better relationship with food and with my body, because being on diets all my life didn't help. It didn't make me like my body more. It didn't make me like myself more. Clearly the solution to feeling better about myself wasn't going on a diet. So I got into therapy. We got a skincare routine. Look at it. Look at it. I learned how to process my emotions better, and I learned how to communicate what I really want and need. And I finally got to a point where I felt more like me. It's like such a strange thing to say, because it's not like I didn't feel like myself before, but somehow I felt more like myself because I now understood what it is that I want and needed from myself and from other people. It was this period of self-realization that really changed my life, and it changed the way that I thought about myself. I have to say, I may be the largest I've ever been, but I've never felt more comfortable, more confident in my body than I do right now. And I think that that is a testament to how little our body and our weight should have to do with our worth. So when you hear that, you're probably still wondering, well, why did you decide to go on a weight loss journey if you feel this way? So a big lesson that I learned going through my body love and self-love journeys is that I'm a person who likes what I like, and I don't ever want to feel limited in any way. Slowly, I began to realize that the world was not made for me at 400 pounds. Let me stop right here really quickly and just say a little disclaimer. This is all my experiences and my thoughts. I am not speaking for the plus size community as a whole, and I am not by any means saying that you have to be skinny to have a good life. What I am saying is that for me, there is a difference between being a size 26 and a size 16 in terms of what is accessible to you. So this isn't even about ability. This is about accessibility. And we don't talk about this a lot in the plus size community, but there are levels to being plus size. Okay. So what I realized, the world is not made for me at this size. Everything has a weight limit. I'm pretty adventurous at heart and I love trying new things. And I remember for my friend's birthday, we all met up and we were gonna go kayaking, and I was so excited about it, but there was a weight limit and I was not able to enjoy that experience with my best friend because of that. So I missed out on that experience, and it was something I really wanted to do. I want to go skydiving. I think it's so cool. I love the idea of it, but that has a weight limit. It's like 260 pounds is the weight limit, and it's 500 for you and an instructor. So that has a weight limit. I want to have fun at amusement parks. They don't ever post weight limits, but I've been to enough amusement parks to know that it does in fact exist, and I am not at the size to be able to enjoy them the way that I would want to enjoy them, to be able to access them. And I love, 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 love to travel. I still do travel, but I'm either taking Southwest because they'll give you that extra seat for free if you know, you know, or I'm paying like $5,000 for a first class ticket just to make sure I have a comfortable trip and don't have to deal with just deal with people. I actually went to Portugal last year and I flew first class, and yeah, I coughed up that, I think it was about $5,000 round trip for that ticket. But not every airline offers first class. So I had an issue where, so my friends and I were flying in between cities in Portugal. My friend was in charge of booking one of our flights, and I didn't really think anything about, letting her know because she's plus size as well. So I just kind of assumed she would get us all a row together because we're 3 friends, 3 seats in a row. I just thought it made sense. She got us all aisle seats on separate rows of emergency rows to give us as much leg room as possible. And that was just a really sucky experience because I don't know if anybody, and these are the little things that I think we have to think about, especially when you're on the larger end of the plus size spectrum. And even having to think about these things can sometimes be frustrating. So if you know anything about emergency exit rows, you know that the sides of the seats are set in stone. You have no okay, here's the armrest and then there's a little bit on the side, if you kind of spill over a little bit, it's okay. No, these seats are set in stone. There is no extra room on the sides. And that's typically what I need because of my hips. So I, talked to the flight attendant about it. They weren't really that accommodating, which, I mean, in this particular case, like, I booked the seat that I booked, so I don't really think it was necessarily their job to be accommodating in this situation. It'd be different if I had booked on another row and then got switched to the emergency exit. But because that was the seat that I chose, or was chosen for me, I didn't really get bothered by their lack of action. So I had to wait for the flight to fill up, and then I asked the person who was sitting in front if they wanted to switch. And it was a very embarrassing situation. Like, I honestly wanted to cry. I don't even think my friends know that, but I literally wanted to cry in that moment. But I did not. Instead, I flirted with the guy sitting next to me. And got his number. I don't know. I think I was just wanting to feel like I gained some sort of dignity or power back in that moment. So that was my way of doing it. But the point is, I've traveled quite a bit, so I know that traveling abroad, everything is just smaller. It just is. Again, I'm not saying you have to be 150 pounds for none of these things to be a non-issue. But again, there's a huge difference in what's accessible to you when you're 400 pounds versus if you're 250 pounds. And that is why I'm interested in losing weight. I don't ever want to feel limited or like I can't do something that I want to do, because it's never been a question of ability. It's always been a question of accessibility. Like, even with sports, I remember being in elementary school, I really wanted to do cheerleading and they just didn't have uniforms that fit me. And that was upsetting because I really wanted to do cheerleading. So that's why I didn't even get into sports until college, when I discovered rugby, which is why I will forever and always love rugby, because to me, it feels like the most inclusive sport. Maybe that and powerlifting, but rugby definitely feels like a very inclusive sport, because you typically want your props, which are your 1 and 2 positions in the forwards, you want your props to be bigger. You want them to be stronger. And so I just felt really included on that team. And that was a really pivotal moment in my life that was like, I can run back and forth on a field. I can play sports. It's just everybody else has been telling me or showing me that I can't. Because when you don't see people who look like you doing things that you think about doing, it deters you from doing it. That is why representation is so important. And that's why I will always, always, always advocate for a complete spectrum of plus size representation, not just the small plus, but bigger plus as well, whether I'm that size or not. So the question I want to answer now is, what exactly is my goal weight? What do I think is the weight that I would like to be at for things to be accessible and for me to not feel limited? I'm gonna tell you a story. About 10 years ago, this is when I was still in college, I was living in Spain. And I honestly just was able to stop thinking about my body and truly started living. I mean, this is my first time in Europe. It's my first time outside of the country, like not just going to like the Caribbean islands. Like, I was literally out of the country, and I was so excited. And I was like, we're not letting anything squander this. We're gonna have so much fun. And we did. And it's one of the reasons I absolutely love traveling. There's just this feeling of freedom that comes with it. So while I was there, I found clothes that fit me in store. I didn't need a seatbelt extender on the plane. I didn't have to look up restaurants in advance to make sure the seats would fit me. There was a lot of mental work that I have to do now that I didn't have to do then. I look back on my time in Spain and I wish that I had the confidence that I have today. I wish that I was as happy and had the understanding to be as happy in that body as I am today in the one I have now. But I didn't have the understanding, wasn't happy, wasn't confident. When I returned to the US, I just remember that people kept commenting on how much weight that I'd lost. And it wasn't even that they would stop there. They'd be like, oh, keep going. It's still not good enough. That's what it came off as. Whether that's how they intended or not, I don't know. But it always came off as like, you're still not good enough. And so that is why I began yo-yo dieting again. Why am I sharing this story? Because I don't want you to think that you have to be under 200 pounds to be healthy. I don't want you to think that you have to be under 200 pounds to live an amazing, fulfilling life. I am not trying to be skinny. That's not what this journey is about. I am losing enough weight to make my life as accessible to me as it was when I was back in Spain. So I am essentially trying to get back to a body that I really feel was a good size for me and an accessible size for me. And I feel like that's something any woman can understand. If you have gone through a divorce like me, right, that caused you to gain weight, I went through some pretty stressful times times as well living abroad when I lived in Switzerland, whole other story. But if you have gone through any of those types of things, depression, babies, whatever it is that caused you to gain weight, even health conditions, and you just want to get back to that size you were before, I feel like literally any woman would get that. Hopefully any guy would get that too. So for me, my accessible weight size looks like 250 to 275 pounds. But I do just want to say, like, do not be like me. You may already be at your goal weight and not even realize it because you're too busy hating yourself. You're too busy listening to everyone else and all these competing voices when the only voice you ever need to listen to is yours and God's. When it comes to humans, the only voice you ever need to listen to is your own. And I do say that with a grain of salt. I'm not saying that you shouldn't seek counsel, but at the end of the day, like, this is kind of how I think about it. I kind of think about it as like me, myself, and I. So I feel like me is literally me, right? Who I am. Myself is typically like the good thoughts, right? God, you know how you have like an angel and a demon on your shoulder? So I feel like myself is kind of like the angel on my shoulder, and then I is like the demon on my other shoulder. And at the end of the day, the angel and demon are both whispering things in my ears, trying to influence me, but it's ultimately my decision what I choose to do with that information. And so that's what I mean. Do not let other people's opinions and baseless accusations and comments keep you from living your best life. I think it took me so long to get other people's opinions about my body, about myself, about my capabilities out of my head. And it's something that I still struggle with. I mean, some days are better than others, but I'm definitely way more fortified and way more confident in my ability to make the best decisions for myself, my body, and my future. Losing weight is a mental game. And if you are not careful, if you have not done the inner work to be happy with where you are and understand that your weight and your worth do not intertwine, they're not tied to each other, you could end up losing a lot more than pounds. If you do not feel good about who you are right now, no amount of weight loss is going to change that. You know what? I think we can take a moment right now and let's just thank our bodies as they are. Let's thank them for everything that they have done for us, for getting us through the day, for waking us up in the morning. No matter where you are in life, the body that you are in has gotten you through so much and continues to do so much for you. So we should always be appreciative of where we are. Yeah. So give yourself a big hug. Before I end this video, I have to say this, and y'all are probably gonna be very surprised, but I'm not doing this for my health. At least not my physical health. We are a society obsessed with the appearance of health and not actual health. Like, there's no amount of working out when you're a big girl that's ever gonna make people not say anything about it, about your body, because you're not skinny. That's just what it is. If we were concerned with actual health, I truly believe that the trolls who are always up under my video and many other plus size women's videos, the real life trolls who bully bigger girls, I honestly think you would be more concerned with the chemicals and the toxins that are allowed to be put in our food. You would be in the comments of those companies as opposed to in our comments. Not only do I believe that you can be healthy at any size, but the facts support it. There are even studies like the Farmington study that correlates the constant up and down of your weight. And this is true even if you're someone who's in the gym, right? Cutting and bulking. It correlates that up and down with causing heart problems. We talk about cardiovascular diseases being the #1 cause for death in this country. And yet we do not talk about, one, what's being put in our food, and we don't talk about diet culture and how damaging that can be. So I promised myself if I were ever going to do a weight loss journey ever again, it would be the last one, and I wouldn't do something extreme or restrictive. I wouldn't do anything that didn't let me eat whatever I wanted. And what I mean by that, I think that moderation is the most important thing. I just feel like these companies, they keep us operating under this sense of confusion so that we continue to attack each other and not the actual problem. Back to what I was saying, I'm not doing this for my health. I have a great relationship with my doctor. My numbers continue to look great because I do make make working out and watching what I eat a priority. That was a huge part of last year as well. That, 2023 is all about me. That was a huge part of my goals for last year, was just understanding, really learning to listen to my body instead of listening to other people. So what does my body need in this moment? I feel like you can get to this point where you can really listen to your body and understand what it is that you're missing and what it is that you need. If this is only an issue that fat people suffer from, why is it also affecting smaller people? Why is it affecting people who are skinny? Why are they getting heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure? Why are they getting all of these same things? It's because weight is not the only factor. And to act like it is, I think, does a huge disservice to humanity as a whole. One thing I have said, and I will continue to say, is that accepting bigger bodies is good for all bodies. Because you need to know that in a bigger body, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're unhealthy. And being in a smaller body doesn't necessarily mean that you're healthy. But nobody wants to talk about that. I will link to some resources below for anyone who is truly interested in learning more. That's my story, but it's only the beginning of my journey. In my next video, I will be sharing exactly what I am doing to lose weight and how I came to that decision. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an update. My name is Ellie Marillo, and this is my 400-pound life. It ain't perfect, but everything is beautiful here.